This PC right here costs only $300 and it will absolutely destroy playing any games at 1080p. Spider-Man 2 at a solid 70 FPS. Resident Evil 4 Remake without any upscaling. And even brand new titles like 007 and Pragmata running on a PC that costs half the price of a PlayStation 5. Now you're not going to be playing in 4K resolution, and it won't be the most pretty aesthetic build out there, but you'll be able to play the most popular titles with your friends at a price you can finally afford. Let's go over every component you'll need to build a PC just like this. Now, a quick disclaimer before we get into it. I'm a YouTuber, not the Federal Reserve. I don't control prices, region, or your local sales tax. All I can tell you is what I paid and where I got it. So don't screenshot this video and email me in 6 months asking why the GPU is $50 more now. Treat this video as a jumping off point for your next budget build, not necessarily a one-to-one copy. At our current budget, the only real way to get a good deal on our core computer is to utilize a bundle deal. That's where we can get a couple of components all together in a combo meal for a low price. AliExpress is pretty famous for this kind of thing, where you can pick up a motherboard, CPU, and RAM bundles for really great prices. And that's even during this Ramageddon we're currently in. Now the components aren't going to be the most modern, but they will get the job done. I picked up a Mogul X99 gaming motherboard kit that comes bundled with an Intel Xeon E5 2680V4 and 16 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM, all for $103 US. Yeah, you heard daddy right. Please don't call me daddy. The 2680V4 gives us 14 cores and 28 threads at stock, which sounds absolutely absurd for $100, but I'll be honest with you. All core Xeons like this are not actually the gaming optimal choice. They were initially built for servers, not gaming PCs, so the clock speeds are very conservative, much like Nerd on a Budget in a few years. Now, it could get the job done if we really had to, but if you want to squeeze out a bit more gaming performance, these X99 boards will also run an E5 1650V4, which you can grab for around $15 on eBay. And then you can turn around and sell the stock 2680 for about the same price. It's basically a free swap if you want higher clock speeds over a core count. The E5 1650 is a modest 6-core 12-thread CPU compared to the one originally in this kit, but the boost clocks on it are much higher, coming in at 4 GHz. This is going to give us much better performance, especially in the 1% lows and in any CPU-bound games. The motherboard is nothing special. It's just one of these Frankenstein X99 boards that come in funky colors and have an included NVMe slot for storage. They're pretty bare bones, usually not even including a place to plug in an RGB header or more than one fan. So we might need to get creative down the line if we want to start, adding accessories. Oh, and AliExpress never ships motherboards with the CMOS battery, so be sure to pick one up at your local dollar store. It's the CR2032 for reference. The memory included is 2 sticks of DDR4 ECC Reg RAM, totaling to 16 gigabytes and are clocked at 2133 megatransfers per second. So not the fastest RAM in the world, but it's in line with our CPU, so we won't have any BIOS issues trying to run super fast RAM with an older chip. 16 gigs is still kind of the minimum when it comes to gaming these days, and you probably wouldn't get any gaming performance increases if you increased this number to 32, but it might help with multitasking if you're planning to use this for things other than gaming. But that's a question for future you. Current you just needs 16 gigs to get started. These AliExpress gaming kits get a really bad reputation online, but for the price, I have yet to have one actually let me down. And if you do get one that's a lemon, AliExpress has free returns, no questions asked, for 90 days. So I say give it a shot. You'll be pleasantly surprised. Before moving on, I wanted to give a quick shout out to the weekly live streams on this channel every Monday at 7 p.m. CST. We've been doing a lot of fun events, like a full tour of my studio, as well as building a PC on a treadmill. So come hang out on Mondays and feel free to ask any tech questions you may have live. Okay, back to the PC. Now to keep this thing from melting itself, I grabbed a basic X99 cooler from AliExpress for $9. Nothing fancy here, no addressable RGB, no big tower design. It's a cooler that bolts onto the CPU and does its job. With only 6 cores under moderate gaming load, this is more than enough to keep temperatures in check. And if you want to upgrade later, just make sure that X99 is supported. Most of the popular cheap coolers on Amazon do not support this chipset, which kind of sucks. And apparently on AliExpress too. This cooler said it supported X99 on the listing page, but after looking at the packaging and the actual cooler itself, that was a big lie. So instead of waiting 2 weeks for a replacement from AliExpress, I just bought this one from Amazon for $9. It's not great, and it's ugly as sin, but I've used it before on a similar build, and it worked out okay. Remember, this is a struggle PC. We need to be okay with ugly sometimes. For storage, you've got two paths here. If you're sticking to the strict $300 budget, grab whatever cheap or leftover SATA drive you've got lying around. I'm using this 128 gig SSD I've had for a while, but similar drives can be found on Amazon for around $25 these days. It's not a lot of storage, but desperate times call for desperate measures. If you can stretch your budget a little, I'd strongly recommend buying a 512 gig NVMe for around $70 instead. Yes, you'll have 4 times the storage capacity, but the real reason is the future. You aren't going to use this computer forever. Eventually, you're going to upgrade to something more modern. And when that time comes, you will be in a much better place to move your half a terabyte NVMe drive into your new computer very easily. The 128 gig SATA drive? Probably not. So today we're sticking with the small drive just to prove a point, but I do always recommend to buy as much storage as you can afford. Now, powering the whole thing is a Thermaltake 600 watt power supply I got on Prime Day for only $31. 600 watts is plenty of headroom for a gaming computer on this budget, and I've had no problems using these guys for dozens of builds in the past. And while Thermaltake's budget PSU lineup isn't going to win any efficiency awards, it's more than enough to keep our components safe. If you have the cash, feel free to buy a power supply that is higher on the PSU tier list and just plan to transplant it into your future build. I'll put a few different recommendations down in the video description. But we still need a case to build everything in, and my recommendation for this is always the same. Just be on the lookout for whatever budget case goes on sale this week. Subreddits like r/build-a-PC sales will constantly post some random manufacturer selling one of their cases for 30 or 40 bucks. Using this method, I was able to pick up this Cubix G from Zalman for only $30. Now, it's definitely not winning any beauty contests, but what you get here is actually surprising. Tempered glass side panel, adequate airflow, and even 3 included RGB fans, but they are not addressable, meaning we don't get to pick the color. But hey, it's an attractive case that's gonna hold all our components, and it's only 30 bucks. What else could you ask for? I mean, I guess you could ask for better fans, so that didn't really make any sense, did it? And of course, the component that actually makes this thing a gaming PC, the graphics card. We need something that doesn't blow the budget and is still able to fit within our case, our PSU restraints, and avoid a CPU bottlenecks. There's not really much out there, and definitely not on Amazon. So I went out and found this NVIDIA GTX 1070 Ti, which I picked up on the used market for $100. In 2026, this card is pretty dated, but it's still got just enough grunt to handle 1080p gaming at solid frame rates in most titles, especially when paired with our CPU that will help push it to the limit. The 8 gigs of VRAM might seem dated, but for a card of this power at 1080p, we realistically won't need any more overhead. In my opinion, the 1070 Ti is the sweet spot of the used market right now at this budget. You're not getting ray tracing, you're not getting DLSS, but you are getting real playable frame rates for very little dollary dues. So let's get that PC assembled with a quick montage, check out some benchmarks, and then back here for the final price breakdown and some personal recommendations on upgrades you might want to make. here's the final price breakdown. Just about $300 for a competent yet slightly dated gaming rig. For that price, you are getting a genuinely capable 1080p gaming machine and more CPU than you'll probably ever need at this budget tier. Is it the fastest thing on the market? Not even close. But dollar for dollar, this might be one of the better value builds we've done on this channel, especially considering the current market. But before you go out and buy this machine, you should know there are some caveats. This is a dead platform. You probably won't be making any upgrades to this machine. What you see is what you get. This is a janky setup using old server hardware and reconfiguring it for gaming. So just know what you're getting yourself into. Also, there are some games that we just straight up cannot play. The GTX 1070 Ti might still have some power, but it lacks hardware level ray tracing and mesh shaders. So there are some games that it will legitimately not even boot. Games like Alan Wake 2 and Indiana Jones famously just won't work. If you have $50 more to add to your budget, I recommend grabbing an AMD Radeon RX 6600 instead for your GPU. That card will have better performance, more efficiency, it has support for mesh shaders, and is still actively being supported by AMD with driver updates. Then there's our CPU issue. While the clock speeds on our processor is pretty good, it's too old to have TPM 2.0 support, which is mandatory for a lot of anti-cheat software bundled with newer esports titles like Valorant and Battlefield 6. If your computer doesn't have TPM 2.0, which ours doesn't, and you're unable to turn on Secure Boot, the game simply won't run. And I know there are some people who just installed their own TPM chip on similar computers, but I just don't think it's really worth it. Microsoft also says that you need this to install Windows 11 on your machine, but there are some fairly simple bypasses out there for that, so not an issue at this time. Now, having said all that, and after glazing the computer I built top to bottom, do I think you should build a PC like this? Well, if you're a grown adult with a steady income flow, even if it's small, I think you might be better off saving up more money for a slightly more modern system. If you are new to PC gaming or have very, very small requirements for what you want to do on your PC, or if you literally have zero to very low income and are mostly using birthday gifts and allowance money on it, I think this is an amazing way to dip your toe into the hobby of PC gaming and to get you started on your lifelong journey. I'll throw up some other budget builds we've done on the channel on screen now, so you can get a better idea of what performance will look like across the spectrum. Please like the video if you liked it, and get subscribed for more technology content. We're still pushing for that 100,000 subscriber goal, and every one of you helps. My name is Jason. See ya.